Milton Keynes, a brand new factory. Over 500 engineers working in silence. This isn't just another Formula One upgrade. This is Red Bull tearing down everything they've built and starting from absolute zero. For the first time in their history, they're building their own engine, their own power, their own destiny. But here's the question no one's asking out loud. What if they fail? And here's the one that should terrify Max Verstappen. What if dominance was never about the driver, but the engine they gave him? Before we dive deeper into F1's most dangerous gamble, hit that subscribe button. We're racing to 10K subscribers, and your support keeps this garage running. Red Bull Racing has called it their Mount Everest challenge. And they're not exaggerating. The Red Bull Ford powertrain isn't just a new engine. It's a complete philosophical shift in how Red Bull operates in Formula One. For years, they've bought their engines. Honda, Renault, always relying on someone else's technology to power their championship dreams. Now, they want total control. But building a competitive Formula One power unit from scratch is something even the biggest manufacturers struggle with. Mercedes spent billions developing their hybrid dominance. Ferrari has a century of engine-building DNA in their factory walls. Red Bull has ambition, and Ford's name on the contract. The 2026 regulations make this even more dangerous. The new power units split their output 50-50, half from the combustion engine, half from electrical power. That electric motor, the MGUK, is about to become nearly 3 times more powerful than what's currently on the grid. Let's put that in perspective. The current MGUK produces around 120 kilowatts, about 160 horsepower. The 2026 version will blast out 350 kilowatts, over 470 horsepower from the electrical system alone. That's a massive jump, and it's an area where Red Bull has zero experience as a manufacturer. But that was just the beginning of their problem. Because while Red Bull is learning to build batteries and electrical systems from scratch, they're also facing a fuel revolution. The 2026 grid will run on 100% sustainable fuel. This isn't pump gas with a green label. This is fuel created from household waste, non-food biomass, and captured atmospheric carbon. Every fuel supplier is in a secret war, trying to brew the perfect mixture that gives their partner team an edge. Red Bull partnered with ExxonMobil. Ferrari has Shell, a company that's been perfecting these sustainable formulas for years. A small difference in fuel chemistry could mean the difference between a podium and a midfield finish. And Red Bull has to get both the engine and the fuel right at the same time, on their first try. If this story is already making you rethink everything you thought you knew about Red Bull's future, smash that subscribe button. We're building a community of F1 fans who want the real story, not the headlines. Red Bull's chief engineer, Paul Monahan, has already admitted the uncomfortable truth. It would be logical for their new engine to have a small power deficit compared to experienced manufacturers like Mercedes and Ferrari. He hopes they can make up for it with clever car design. But here's the problem with that plan. In 2026, the engine is everything. If your power unit is down by even 5 or 10 horsepower, there's almost nowhere to hide it. Aerodynamics can't compensate for raw power loss on the straights. And Red Bull isn't just changing the engine. They're reportedly changing the entire car philosophy too. For years, Red Bull has been famous for their pull rod suspension system. It's been a cornerstone of their championship-winning designs, allowing clean airflow to the rear of the car and generating massive downforce. But rumors suggest that for 2026, they're switching to a double pushrod suspension. Why? Because the new bulky power unit might not physically fit with their old philosophy. So they're abandoning a system they perfected. A system that made them dominant. A system that Max Verstappen trusted with 4 world championships. This isn't a small adjustment. It's a complete rethink of what makes a Red Bull fast. And this massive technical gamble is happening at the worst possible time for the team. In the last year, Red Bull has lost a staggering amount of experience. Legendary designer Adrian Newey, the man behind every single championship car they've ever built, has left. Helmut Marko, the ruthless advisor who discovered Max Verstappen, has retired. Rob Marshall and Jonathan Wheatley, key figures in race strategy and engineering, gone. This isn't just a brain drain. It's a knowledge evacuation. All that expertise, all those decades of Formula One wisdom, walked out the door right when Red Bull needs it most. The new team principal, Laurent Mekies, is trying to rebuild the entire operation while simultaneously managing the biggest technical project in Red Bull's history. The one piece of good news: Max's trusted race engineer, Gianpiero Lambiase, is staying. Their partnership is one of the most successful in modern Formula One. But even GP can't build an engine. Halfway through this story and your pulse should be racing. If you're feeling the tension, hit subscribe and join the 10K crew who live for Formula One's most intense moments. And Max Verstappen knows it. He's publicly stated that for the first preseason tests, he expects the team to spend more time in the garages than out on track. Translation: he's expecting problems. Lots of them. The pressure on Max is immense. His contract runs until the end of 2028, but it's widely believed that contract contains performance clauses. If Red Bull isn't competitive, Max could walk, and there would be no shortage of teams ready to sign him. Mercedes has made no secret of their admiration for the Dutchman. Think about that for a moment. Max Verstappen, four-time world champion, could be driving for Red Bull's biggest rival in 2027 if this gamble fails. The FIA tried to help new engine manufacturers with a system called additional dyno testing opportunities, giving teams that are behind on power some extra testing time. But it's not a magic solution. It won't give Red Bull extra horsepower on race day. It just gives them more time to try and find it themselves. And while Red Bull is testing in private, their rivals will be racing and learning in public. It's a race against time, and Red Bull is starting from behind. But strip away the engineering challenges, and what Red Bull revealed in Detroit wasn't really about the car at all. The launch location itself was a message. Michigan Central Station, Ford's restored symbol of industrial ambition and long-term commitment. Red Bull wasn't saying, "Look how fast we are." They were saying, "This is ours, and we're prepared to build it from the ground up." They've openly admitted they expect to start behind. And that's not weakness. That's rare honesty in a sport built on manufactured confidence. When a team pretends certainty exists, every loss feels like failure. When uncertainty is acknowledged, losses become data points for improvement. For a driver like Max Verstappen, who thrives on clarity rather than hype, that might actually be the perfect environment. Max doesn't need dominance to perform. He needs clear systems, honest feedback, and operational focus. The 2026 reset offers all three, but removes every safety net. Still with me? Then you're exactly the kind of F1 fan we're building this channel for. Subscribe now, and let's hit 10K together. So here's how this could play out. Scenario 1. Red Bull and Ford nail it. The engine works. The car works. Max adds championship number 5, 6, and 7. It becomes the greatest engineering comeback story in Formula One history. Scenario 2. The engine struggles. Red Bull finishes 3rd or 4th in the Constructors' Championship. Max triggers his performance clause and signs with Mercedes for 2027. Red Bull's empire crumbles the moment their star driver walks away. Scenario 3. The engine is competitive, not dominant, but close enough. Max stays and fights. But Red Bull spends the next 3 years chasing Mercedes and Ferrari, never quite catching them. The dynasty ends not with a bang, but with a slow fade into mediability. Which scenario are we watching unfold? Will Red Bull's honesty about starting behind give them the clarity to fight back? Or has their brain drain already sealed their fate? And here's the real question. Does Max Verstappen need a dominant car to be the best driver on the grid? Or has he already proven everything he needs to prove? One thing is certain, the 2026 season won't be about defending a championship. It'll be about surviving the biggest rebuild Formula One has seen in decades. If you made it this far, you already know this isn't just about horsepower and lap times. This is about legacy, risk, and whether the greatest dynasty in modern F1 can reinvent itself before it's too late. So tell me in the comments, is Red Bull's gamble genius or suicide? And where will Max Verstappen be racing in 2026?